Taittriyaka Upanishad, translated by Max Müller. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Jothi Tharavant. First Valli, or the chapter on Siksha, pronounciation. First Anuvaka. Hari Om. May Mitra be propitious to us, and Varuna, Aryaman also, Indra, Brihaspati, and the wide-striding Vishnu. Adoration to Brahman, adoration to thee, O Vayu, air. Thou indeed art the visible Brahman. I shall proclaim thee alone as the visible Brahman. I shall proclaim the right. I shall proclaim the true Brahman. May it protect me. May it protect the teacher. Yes, may it protect me, and may it protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Second Anuvaka. Om. Let us explain Siksha, the doctrine of pronunciation, namely letter, accent, quantity, effort in the formation of letters, modulation and union of letters, sandhi. This is the lecture on Siksha. Third Anuvaka. May glory come to both of us, teacher and pupil, together. May Vedic light belong to both of us. Now let us explain the Upanishad, the secret meaning of the union, Samhita, under 5 heads. With regard to the worlds, the heavenly lights, knowledge, offspring, and self, body. People call these the great Samhitas. First, with regard to the worlds. The earth is the former element, heaven the latter, ether their union. That union takes place through Vayu, air. So much with regard to the worlds. Next, with regard to the heavenly lights. Agni, fire, is the former element. Aditya, the sun, the latter. Water, their union. That union takes place through lightning. So much with regard to the heavenly lights. Next, with regard to knowledge. The teacher is the former element, the pupil the latter. Knowledge their union. That union takes place through the recitation of the Veda. So much with regard to knowledge. Next, with regard to offspring. The mother is the former element, the father the latter. Offspring their union. That union takes place through procreation. So much with regard to offspring. Next, with regard to the self, body. The lower jaw is the former element, the upper jaw the latter. Speech, their union. That union takes place through speech. So much with regard to the self. These are the great Samhitas. He who knows these Samhitas, unions, as here explained, becomes united with offspring, cattle, Vedic light, food, and with the heavenly world. Fourth Anuvaka. May he, who is the strong bull of the Vedas, assuming all forms, who has risen from the Vedas, from the immortal, may that Indra, Lord, strengthen me with wisdom. May I, O God, become an upholder of the immortal. May my body be able, my tongue sweet. May I hear much with my ears. Thou, Om, art the shrine of Brahman, covered by wisdom. God, what I have learnt. She, Sri, brings happiness, brings near and spreads, and makes without delay garments for herself, cows, food, and drink at all times. Therefore bring that Sri happiness hither to me, the woolly with her cattle, Swaha. May the Brahman students come to me, Swaha. May they come from all sides, Swaha. May they come forth to me, Swaha. May thy practice restraint, Swaha. May thy enjoy peace, Swaha. May I be a glory among men, Swaha. May I be better than the richest, Swaha. May I enter into thee, O treasure, Om, Swaha. Thou, O treasure, enter into me, Swaha. In thee consisting of 1,000 branches, in thee, O treasure, I am cleansed, Swaha. As water runs downward, as the months go to the year, so, O preserver of the world, may Brahman students always come to me from all sides, Swaha. Thou art a refuge. Enlighten me. Take possession of me. Fifth Anuvaka. Bhu, Bhuvas, Suvas. These are the three sacred interjections. Vyahirati. Mahachamasya taught a fourth, namely Mahas, which is Brahman, which is the Self. The others, Devatas, are its members. Bhu is this world. Bhuvas is the sky. Suvas is the other world. Mahas is the sun. All the worlds are increased by the sun. Bhu is Agni, fire. Bhuvas is Vayu, air. Suvas is Aditya, sun. Mahas is the moon. All the heavenly lights are increased by the moon. Bhu is Rik verses. Bhuvas is the Saman verses. Suvas is the Yajus verses. Mahas is Brahman. All the Vedas are increased by the Brahman. Bhu is Prana, up breathing. Bhuvas is Apana, down breathing. Suvas is Vyana, back breathing. Mahas is food. All breathings are increased by food. Thus, there are these 4 times 4, the 4 and 4 sacred interjections. He who knows these knows the Brahman. All Devas bring offerings to him. Sixth Anuvaka. There is the ether within the heart, and in it there is the person, Purusha, consisting of mind, immortal, golden. Between the 2 palates there hangs the uvula, like a nipple. That is the starting point of Indra, the Lord. Where the root of the hair divides, there he opens the 2 sides of the head, and saying Bhu, he enters Agni, the fire. Saying Bhuvas, he enters Vayu, air. Saying Suvas, he enters Aditya, sun. Saying Mahas, he enters Brahman. He there obtains lordship, he reaches the Lord of the mind. He becomes Lord of speech, Lord of sight, Lord of hearing, Lord of knowledge. Nay, more than this. There is the Brahman whose body is ether, whose name is true, rejoicing in the senses, prana, delighted in the mind, perfect in peace and immortal. Worship thus, O Prachina Yogya. 7th Anuvaka. The earth, the sky, heaven, the four quarters and the intermediate quarters, Agni, fire, Vayu, air, Aditya, sun, Chandramas, moon, and the stars, water, herbs, trees, ether, the universal self, Viraj, so much with reference to material objects, Bhuta. Now with reference to the self, the body. Prana, up-breathing, Apana, down-breathing, Vyana, back-breathing, Udana, out-breathing, and Samana, on-breathing. The eye, the ear, mind, speech and touch, the skin, flesh, muscle, bone and marrow. Having dwelt on this five-fold arrangement of the worlds, the gods, beings, breathings, senses, and elements of the body, a rishi said, whatever exists is fivefold, panikta. By means of the one fivefold set, that referring to the body, he completes the other fivefold set. 8th Anuvaka. Om means Brahman. Om means all this. Om means obedience. When they have been told Om speak, they speak. After Om, they sing psalms. After Om, they recite hymns. After Om, the Adhavaryu gives the response. After Om, the Brahman priest gives orders. After Om, he, the sacrificer, allows the performance of the Agnihotra. When a Brahmana is going to begin his lecture, he says, Om, may I acquire Brahman, the Veda. He thus acquires the Veda. 9th Anuvaka. What is necessary? The right and learning and practicing the Veda. The true and learning and practicing the Veda. Penance and learning and practicing the Veda. Restraint and learning and practicing the Veda. Tranquility and learning and practicing the Veda. The fires to be consecrated and learning and practicing the Veda. The Agnihotra sacrifice and learning and practicing the Veda. Guests to be entertained and learning and practicing the Veda. Man's duty and learning and practicing the Veda. Children and learning and practicing the Veda. Marriage and learning and practicing the Veda. Children's children and learning and practicing the Veda. Satyavachas Ratihitra thinks that the true only is necessary. Taponitya Paurishishti thinks that penance only is necessary. Nakamodgalya thinks that learning and practicing the Veda only are necessary. For that is penance. That is penance. 10th Anuvaka. I am he who shakes the tree, that is, the tree of the world, which has to be cut down by knowledge. My glory is like the top of a mountain. I, whose pure light of knowledge has risen high, am that which is truly immortal, as it resides in the sun. I am the brightest treasure. I am wise, immortal, imperishable. This is the teaching of the Veda by the poet Trishanku. 11th Anuvaka. After having taught the Veda, the teacher instructs the people. Say what is true. Do thy duty. Do not neglect the study of the Veda. After having brought to thy teacher his proper reward, do not cut off the line of children. Do not swerve from the truth. Do not swerve from duty. Do not neglect what is useful. Do not neglect greatness. Do not neglect the learning and teaching of the Veda. Do not neglect the sacrificial works due to the gods and fathers. Let thy mother be to thee like unto a god. Let thy father be to thee like unto a god. Let thy teacher be to thee like unto a god. Let thy guest be to thee like unto a god. Whatever actions are blameless, those should be regarded, not others. Whatever good works have been performed by us, those should be observed by thee, not others. And there are some Brahmanas better than we. They should be comforted by thee by giving them a seat. Whatever is given should be given with faith, not without faith, with joy, with modesty, with fear, with kindness. If there should be any doubt in thy mind with regard to any sacred act, or with regard to conduct, in that case, conduct yourself as Brahmanas who possess good judgment, conduct themselves therein, whether they be appointed or not, as long as they are not too severe but devoted to duty. And with regard to things that have been spoken against, as Brahmanas who possess good judgment, conduct themselves therein, whether they be appointed or not, as long as they are not too severe but devoted to duty. Thus conduct thyself. This is the rule, this is the teaching, this is the true purport, Upanishad of the Veda. This is the command. Thus should you observe. Thus should this be observed. 12th Anuvaka. May Mitra be propitious to us, and Varuna, Aryaman also, Indra, Brihaspati, and the wide-striding Vishnu. Adoration to Brahman. Adoration to thee, O Vayu. Thou indeed art the visible Brahman. I proclaimed thee alone as the visible Brahman. I proclaimed the right. I proclaimed the true. It protected me. It protected the teacher. Yes, it protected me. It protected the teacher. Om. Peace. 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 End of first Valli. Recording by Jothi Tharavant. Second Valli, or the chapter on Ananda, bliss. Hari Om. May it, the Brahman, protect us both, teacher and pupil. May it enjoy us both. May we acquire strength together. May our knowledge become bright. May we never quarrel. Peace, peace, peace. First Anuvaka. He who knows the Brahman attains the highest Brahman. On this, the following verse is recorded. He who knows Brahman, which is, that is cause, not effect, which is conscious, which is without end, as hidden in the depth of the heart, in the highest ether, he enjoys all blessings. at one with the omniscient Brahman. From that self, Brahman, sprang ether, akasa, that through which we hear. From ether, air, that through which we hear and feel. From air, fire, that through which we hear, feel and see. From fire, water, that through which we hear, feel, see and taste. From water, earth, that through which we hear, feel, see, taste and smell. From earth, herbs, from herbs, food, from food, seed, from seed, man. Man thus consists of the essence of food. This is his head, this his right arm, this his left arm, this his trunk, Atman, this the seat, the support. On this there is also the following Shloka. Second Anuvaka. From food are produced all creatures which dwell on earth. Then they live by food, and in the end they return to food. For food is the oldest of all beings, and therefore it is called panacea, sarva ushada, that is, consisting of all herbs, or quietening the heat of the body of all beings. They who worship food as Brahman obtain all food, for food is the oldest of all beings, and therefore it is called panacea. From food all creatures are produced. By food, when born, they grow. Because it is fed on, or because it feeds on beings, therefore it is called food, anna. Different from this, which consists of the essence of food, is the older, the inner self, which consists of breath. The former is filled by this. It also has the shape of man. Like the human shape of the former is the human shape of the latter. Prana, up breathing, is its head. Vyana, back breathing, is its right arm. Apana, down breathing, is its left arm. Ether is its trunk. The earth, the seat, the support. On this, there is also the following Shloka. Third Anuvaka. The Devas breathe after breath, prana. So do men and cattle. Breath is the life of beings. Therefore it is called Sarvayusha, all enlivening. They who worship breath as Brahman obtain the full life. For breath is the life of all beings, and therefore it is called Sarvayusha. The embodied self of this, consisting of breath, is the same as that of the former, consisting of food. Different from this, which consists of breath, is the other, the inner self, which consists of mind. The former is filled by this. It also has the shape of man. Like the human shape of the former is the human shape of the latter. Yajus is its head. Rik is its right arm. Saman is its left arm. The doctrine Adesha, that is, the Brahmana, is its trunk. The Atharvangiras, Atharva hymns, the seat, the support. On this, there is also the following Shloka. Fourth Anuvaka. He who knows the bliss of that Brahman, from whence all speech with the mind turns away unable to reach it, he never fears. The embodied self of this, consisting of mind, is the same as that of the former, consisting of breath. Different from this, which consists of mind, is the other, the inner self, which consists of understanding. The former is filled by this. It also has the shape of man. Like the human shape of the former is the human shape of the latter. Faith is its head. What is right is its right arm. What is true is its left arm. Absorption, yoga, is its trunk. The great intellect is the seat, the support. On this, there is also the following sloka. Fifth Anuvaka. Understanding performs the sacrifice. It performs all sacred acts. All devas worship understanding as Brahman, as the oldest. If a man knows understanding as Brahman, and if he does not swerve from it, he leaves all evils behind in the body and attains all his wishes. The embodied self of this, consisting of understanding, is the same as that of the former, consisting of mind. Different from this, which consists of understanding, is the other inner self, which consists of bliss. The former is filled by this. It also has the shape of man. Like the human shape of the former is the human shape of the latter. Joy is its head. Satisfaction, its right arm. Great satisfaction is its left arm. Bliss is its trunk. Brahman is the seat, the support. On this, there is also the following sloka. Sixth Anuvaka. He who knows the Brahman as non-existing becomes himself non-existing. He who knows the Brahman as existing, him we know himself as existing. The embodied self of this bliss is the same as that of the former, understanding. Thereupon follow the questions of the pupil. Does anyone who knows not, after he has departed this life, ever go to that world? Or does he who knows, after he has departed, go to that world? The answer is, he wished, may I be many, may I grow forth. He brooded over himself, like a man performing penance. After he had thus brooded, he sent forth, created all, whatever there is. Having sent forth, he entered into it. Having entered it, he became Sat, what is manifest, and Tyat, what is not manifest, defined and undefined, supported and not supported, endowed with knowledge and without knowledge, as tones, real and unreal. The Satya, true, became all this whatsoever, and therefore the wise call it the Brahman, Satya, the true. On this there is also this sloka. Seventh Anuvaka. In the beginning, this was non-existent, not yet defined by form and name. From it was born what exists. That made itself, its self. Therefore, it is called the self-made. That which is self-made is a flavor, can be tasted. For only after perceiving a flavor can anyone perceive pleasure. Who could breathe? Who could breathe forth if that bliss, Brahman, existed not in the ether in the heart? For he alone causes blessedness. When he finds freedom from fear and rest in that which is invisible, incorporeal, undefined, unsupported, then he has obtained the fearless. For if he makes but the smallest distinction in it, there is fear for him. But that fear exists only for one who thinks himself wise, not for the true sage. On this, there is also this Shloka. 8th Anuvaka. From the terror of it, Brahman, the wind blows. From the terror, the sun rises. From terror of it, Agni and Indra. Yeah, death runs as the 5th. Now this is an examination of what is meant by bliss, Ananda. Let there be a noble young man who is well read in the Veda, very swift, firm and strong, and let the whole world be full of wealth for him. That is one measure of human bliss. 100 times that human bliss is one measure of the bliss of human Gandharvas, genii, and likewise of a great sage learned in the Vedas who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of human Gandharvas is one measure of the bliss of divine Gandharvas, genii, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of divine Gandharvas is one measure of the bliss of the fathers, enjoying their long estate, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of the fathers is one measure of the bliss of the Devas, born in the Ajana heaven, through the merit of their lawful works, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of the Devas, born in the Ajana heaven, is one measure of the bliss of the sacrificial Devas, who go to the Devas by means of their Vedic sacrifices, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of the sacrificial Devas is one measure of the bliss of the 33 Devas, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of the 33 Devas is one measure of the bliss of Indra, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of Indra is one measure of the bliss of the Brihaspati, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of Brihaspati is one measure of the bliss of Prajapati, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. 100 times that bliss of Prajapati is one measure of the bliss of Brahman, and likewise of a great sage who is free from desires. He who is this Brahman in man, and he who is that Brahman in the sun, both are one. He who knows this, when he has departed this world, reaches and comprehends the self, which consists of food, the self which consists of breath, the self which consists of mind, the self which consists of understanding, the self which consists of bliss. On this, there is also this Shloka. 9th Anuvaka. He who knows the bliss of that Brahman, from whence all speech with the mind turns away, unable to reach it, he fears nothing. He does not distress himself with the thought, why did I not do what is good? Why did I do what is bad? He who thus knows these two, good and bad, frees himself. He who knows both frees himself. This is the Upanishad. End of second Valli. Recording by Jothi Tharavant. Third Valli of Taittriyaka Upanishad, translated by Max Müller. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Jothi Tharavant. Third Valli, or the chapter of Bhrigu. Hari Om. May it, the Brahman, protect us both. May it enjoy us both. May we acquire strength together. May our knowledge become bright. May we never quarrel. Peace, peace, peace. First Anuvaka. Bhrigu Varuna went to his father Varuna, saying, "Sir, teach me Brahman." He told him this, namely, food, breath, the eye, the ear, mind, speech. Then he said again to him, that from whence these beings are born, that by which, when born, they live, that into which they enter at their death. Try to know that. That is Brahman. He performed penance. Having performed penance, second Anuvaka, he perceived that food is Brahman. For from food these beings are produced. By food, when born, they live, and into food they enter at their death. Having perceived this, he went again to his father Varuna, saying, "Sir, teach me Brahman." He said to him, "Try to know Brahman by penance, for penance is the means of knowing Brahman." He performed penance. Having performed penance, third Anuvaka, he perceived that breath is Brahman, for from breath these beings are born. By breath, when born, they live. Into breath they enter at their death. Having perceived this, he went again to his father Varuna, saying, "Sir, teach me Brahman." He said to him, "Try to know Brahman by penance, for penance is the means of knowing Brahman." He performed penance. Having performed penance, fourth Anuvaka, he perceived that mind, manas, is Brahman. For from mind these beings are born. By mind, when born, they live. Into mind they enter at their death. Having perceived this, he went again to his father Varuna, saying, "Sir, teach me Brahman." He said to him, "Try to know Brahman by penance, for penance is the means of knowing Brahman." He performed penance. Having performed penance, fifth Anuvaka, he perceived that understanding, vijnana, was Brahman. For from understanding these things are born. By understanding, when born, they live. Into understanding they enter at their death. Having perceived this, he went again to his father Varuna, saying, "Sir, teach me Brahman." He said to him, "Try to know Brahman by penance, for penance is the means of knowing Brahman." He performed penance. Having performed penance, sixth Anuvaka, he perceived that bliss is Brahman. For from bliss these things are born. By bliss, when born, they live. Into bliss they enter at their death. This is the knowledge of Bhrigu and Varuna, exalted in the highest heaven in the heart. He who knows this becomes exalted, becomes rich in food and able to eat food healthy, becomes great by offspring, cattle, and the splendor of his knowledge of Brahman great by fame. Seventh Anuvaka. Let him never abuse food. That is the rule. Breath is food. The body eats the food. The body rests on breath. Breath rests on the body. This is the food resting on food. He who knows this, food resting on food, rests exalted, becomes rich in food, and able to eat food healthy, becomes great by offspring, cattle, and by the splendor of his knowledge of Brahman, great by fame. Eighth Anuvaka. Let him never shun food. That is the rule. Water is food. The light eats the food. The light rests on water. Water rests on light. This is the food resting on food. He who knows this food resting on food rests exalted, becomes rich in food, and able to eat food healthy, becomes great by offspring, cattle, and the splendor of his knowledge of Brahman, great by fame. Ninth Anuvaka. Let him acquire much food. That is the rule. Earth is food. The ether eats the food. The ether rests on the earth. The earth rests on the ether. This is the food resting on food. He who knows this food resting on food rests exalted, becomes rich in food, and able to eat food healthy, becomes great by offspring, cattle, and the splendor of his knowledge of Brahman, great by fame. Tenth Anuvaka. Let him never turn away a stranger from his house. That is the rule. Therefore, a man should by all means acquire much food. For good people say to the stranger, "There is food ready for him." If he gives food amply, food is given to him amply. If he gives food fairly, food is given to him fairly. If he gives food meanly, food is given to him meanly. He who knows this recognizes and worships Brahman as possession in speech, as acquisition and possession in up-breathing prana and down-breathing apana, as action in the hands, as walking in the feet, as voiding in the anus. These are the human recognition of Brahman as manifested in human actions. Next follow the recognitions of Brahman with reference to the Devas, namely, as satisfaction in rain, as power in lightning, as glory in cattle, as light in the stars, as procreation, immortality, and bliss in the member, as everything in the ether. Let him worship that Brahman as support, and he becomes supported. Let him worship that Brahman as greatness, Maha, and he becomes great. Let him worship that Brahman as mind, and he becomes endowed with mind. Let him worship that Brahman as adoration, and all desires fall down before him in adoration. Let him worship that Brahman as Brahman, and he will become possessed of Brahman. Let him worship this as the absorption of the gods in Brahman, and the enemies who hate him will die all around him. All around him will die the foes whom he does not love. He who is this Brahman in man, and he who is that Brahman in the sun, both are one. He who knows this, when he has departed this world, after reaching and comprehending the self which consists of food, the self which consists of breath, the self which consists of mind, the self which consists of understanding, the self which consists of bliss, enters and takes possession of these worlds, and having as much food as he likes, and assuming as many forms as he likes, he sits down singing this psalm of Brahman: Ha-vu, ha-vu, ha-vu. I am food, object. I am food. I am food. I am the eater of food, subject. I am the eater of food. I am the eater of food. I am the poet who joins the two together. I am the poet. I am the poet. I am the firstborn of the right, Rita. Before the Devas, I was in the center of all that is immortal. He who gives me away, he alone preserves me. Him who eats food, I eat as food. I overcome the whole world. I endowed with golden light. He who knows this attains all this. This is the Upanishad. End of third Valli. End of Taittiriya Upanishad. Recording by Jothi Tharavant.